favorite part. Welcome back, Chris and Adam on Sports podcast. This is Chris Witt, Adam Schmidt on the other side.
Yes, sir.
How we doing today, bud?
I'm doing wonderfully.
Yeah, wonderfully. I like it.
It's an
That's
adverb.
nice. An adverb. Adverb. Is that really an adverb?
I guess it ends in ly.
Man,
That's
sounds like it could be. Is that the rule for adverbs? Ly.
That's the rule as I remember it.
There you go. All right. Well, so as many adverbs as can possibly be used will be used today on this show. I think this should be called the Adverb Show now, just after that.
Certainly.
Well played. So we are cousins. We're here talking sports. We're gonna go over. We've gone over a few. We've been going over these brackets the last couple shows, and we're getting into the Final Four. So we're gonna go over the Final Four, what we think is gonna happen. Then we'll get into the beloved Chris Mack leaving Xavier, going to Louisville. That's my team. The Xavier Musketeers losing their big coach, and then we'll get into the Major League Baseball opening day tomorrow or today
most.
For if you're listening, because this is
Yeah.
Wednesday night, but the Reds have already canceled their opening day ceremonies and game, so it'll be on Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. All right, man. So what do you say? You want to jump in on this? See what we can get done here. Let's go. Let's get right into it. Final Four. I had UK versus Gonzaga, and that's obviously not going to happen. So we're on this out of the South and the West. We're looking at Michigan and Sister Jean.
The Sister Jean.
Sister Jean. She's got her own Nikes, man. Did you see that? The
No,
Air jeans?
I did. Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
Nike made the Air jeans for her.
Are they made out of denim?
With the
You get it?
Yeah.
Jeans.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Okay.
Very good.
So your pick for that game though?
I at this point in time, it's hard to go past Loyola. Loyola's just going nuts, but I'm going to continue to not pick Loyola, and I'm going to say that our friends over at Michigan are going to end up winning that game for sure. But that's just me. What do you think? Because obviously, out of the two of us, you are the basketball genius.
I wouldn't say that.
Pretty close.
But well, thank you for the compliment. All right, so we know by now that Loyola Chicago is not necessarily a Cinderella team anymore. They're a legitimately good team.
Yeah.
They've beaten good teams from big conferences, and they've won. They won their first 3 games of the tournament by a total of 4 points. They can win close games.
And then they won by 20 points.
They're talented. They actually, by the numbers, they match up with Michigan really well. They each score about the same amount of points per game and each allow about the same amount of points per game. I'm with you though. I for whatever reason I just can't quite get on with Loyola Chicago. Just because I always think that the team that they're playing is going to be better, and in this case I certainly do with Michigan. Michigan's probably the best defensive team left in the tournament, even though Loyola Chicago is right there, and really Kansas and Villanova aren't bad either. But Michigan, have in the past been known as more of an offensive basketball program, and
right.
they're as good a defensive team as just about anybody now in the country, thanks to John Beilein. So I'm taking Michigan in that game.
Yeah, I agree. What's the guy's name? Wagner.
Yeah, Mo
Wagner. I think he kind of struggled in their last game, but you just in that Florida State game, but you just feel like. You feel like that guy is going to come on, and he's so big. He's so big compared to the rest of Loyola. Like you said, they've been playing their butts off, and they've made it pretty far. Congratulations. Final Four is unbelievable as an 11 seed. So, but at this point in time, I think Michigan's ready to knock them off.
I agree.
Now, the big part, the big game, is this Villanova versus Kansas. Now, we both had either Michigan State or Duke coming out of that bottom,
Right.
and what a game that was. That Duke-Kansas game was the best game of the tournament in my mind.
Yeah, it probably was because of what was on the line and who was involved in it.
Yeah. I mean, it was the two blue bloods, trip to the Final Four on the line, overtime game, probably the most polarizing player in all of college basketball gets to take the last shot before overtime, and it goes in the basket twice.
Yeah.
It was in the basket twice before it came out. I mean, Grayson Allen, I thought it was in. I thought that was it. I thought the game was over.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest. I was rooting for it to go in. I'm kind of a Duke supporter.
You're an ACC lover.
I like the ACC.
You don't like the ACC. You love the ACC.
I'm not Dick Vitale. I don't love the ACC, but I like it a lot.
I'll tell you what. If Dick Vitale's definitely number one on that list, you're on the first page. I'm putting you on the first page.
I'll be on the first page. That's fine. I'll admit I have no teams near me in the ACC, but I just like it. I think it's the strongest league from top to bottom.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway.
All right. So great game. Kansas did their thing. Ended up winning the game. That Newman, was that his name? Is that his name? Had all 13 points in overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid just took it over, and that's not the kid that, you're looking at Azubuike or
Graham.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He was incredible. He dominated the overtime, and he had 13 of his 32 in overtime, and that's what it took. So Kansas moved on, and so did Villanova. So they match up now. Who do you have, Kansas, Villanova?
I love Villanova. I think Villanova is a team of pros. They go about it. I mean, they just go about their business every game and just take care of what they need to take care of. It almost seems that they can turn it on and off during a game too. Like, you can watch them during a game, and it's like they get up by 12, and all of a sudden, the team will creep into 6, 5 points down. And it's like, oh, well, hey, hold on a second, boys. You're not as good as you think you are. And they turn it on, and they just got so many players that can do so many things on that team. I said before, I think they got 3 pros. I think they might have more than that.
Yeah.
To be honest, that Spellman kid is he could be a big man in the NBA. I mean, DiVincenzo is 100% going to go to the NBA. That kid's going to be great. He's just got that attitude and can shoot. They can shoot. Every person on that team can shoot.
Yeah. They're one of the best. They've made 47 3-pointers in the 4 games they've played.
Wow.
And that's one of the best. That's one of the highest 3-point totals from the first 4 rounds in tournament history. They score 127 points per 100 possessions. So in the NBA they're averaging 130 points because they have way more possessions. But they're as high efficient offense as you'll see, but they also take a lot of pride in playing defense too.
Yeah.
And they can play just about any pace you want to, and they can fill it up. They just shoot it really well. And what's crazy? You say they have 3-4 pros or whatever. You know what I just realized today?
What's that?
They have no seniors.
Is that right?
They have no. I didn't think it was right, but one of their assistant coaches said they don't have any seniors.
They have 3 seniors on the team, but all 3 of them, none of them play. I think they might all be walk-on.
Maybe that's what.
They have 3. They have 3 seniors on the team. None of them play.
Okay. Okay. But so
here's your total
still.
minutes for those 3 guys this year. They average 1.3, 1.4, and 1.5 minutes for your seniors per game.
Hey, you know what? Contribution is a contribution, so good for those guys. But anyway, yeah. So your key players, your top 6, 7 players, are not seniors. A couple of those guys could come out, and enter the draft this year. But if they don't, if all those guys came back and Villanova had the same top 6 or 7 guys,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you think about that team: Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, obviously 1 and 2 on that team. I think 1 and 2 on that team. Phil Booth, who is. You're right. I mean, they're loaded. Pascal, Booth, Bridges, and Brunson are all juniors. If they all came back, 100. I think there's nobody There's no chance that anybody is looking at anybody else to win a national championship except Villanova next
They might
year.
go 40-0 next year.
That's not a joke.
I know.
That's not a joke. I mean, these guys they're going to be stacked.
They might go 38-2 because they're going to lose twice to Xavier.
Let's get a coach first, and we'll figure that out. All right, so who are you taking in that game?
Villanova.
I agree. That Kansas it's a lot like Michigan. They not the best team all year. They had some crazy losses, but they're playing great basketball at the right time. Michigan has rolled. They rolled through the Big Ten. They're rolling through this tournament. Kansas is doing the exact same thing. I just think that this is the national championship game in my mind. Whoever wins this game will win the national championship, in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Kansas wins the game, I think Michigan has a chance to beat them. But I agree mostly, and I think Villanova. So we both agree that Villanova, Michigan in the championship game.
Whoever wins the Villanova-Kansas game will win the national championship.
We agree. Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind on that.
Right.
So there you go. All right. Well, that sounds good, man. I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. And you know what else is kind of fun?
What's that?
It's really not fun because you have to do it. But what's also kind of fun is you get to see what a new coach is going to be like at Xavier.
Yeah. I've seen it enough. I don't need. It's not that much fun.
Well, yeah, the same guy for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad run.
It's a great run. And thinking back on it, there's only a few jobs out there that Chris Mack would have taken to leave Xavier. It's not like when Skip Prosser left, or when Sean Miller left. I mean, he left for Arizona. It's a huge job.
That's a very prestigious basketball program. Yeah.
So. Skip Prosser, is any Xavier coach going to leave Xavier to go to Wake Forest now? No, that's not going to happen, I don't think.
Probably not.
Well,
although they're in the ACC. So.
Well, once again, here you go. You would leave because then you could shake Coach Krzyzewski's hand twice a year.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd give him a great big hug. Maybe a little kiss on the cheek, too.
I can see the hand creeping down below the belt, too, on the butt. I can say, why not get a little pat? Hey, good game, Coach. You know what I mean?
Okay, a sports pat maybe.
A sports pat?
Yeah.
With a slight cupping of the hand?
I don't know. I'm an introvert. I don't know.
The smile on your face right now says a lot. I think if you got the opportunity, it might happen. It's Coach K, man.
I'd maybe try a kiss on the cheek and see how he responds.
Okay.
And then go from there.
And then if he's okay with it, a sturdy butt pat.
Anyway,
what do you call the butt pat? Does that have a name? Like, you got a high five, you got the dap and the dab and
you
all
just
that.
gave it a name.
What do you call the good game tap?
You just gave it a name.
The butt tap? What was it? I don't even know what I said. We'll have to go back and listen and find out. But I think that needs a name. I think it needs a butt five or something like that. I mean, I don't know.
I think it might just need to stop.
No way. That's my favorite thing to do.
I know.
Every time I'm playing anything, you just walk up, nice pat on the ass. Yeah, sometimes it depends on how good the play was. If it was a really good play, you give him a good hard one. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Good hard smack on the ass.
Sure.
And as soon as you're done, you say, "Dang, on, man, that is a firm butt right there. Congratulations."
No,
I always make sure that I tell them, whoever it is.
I know that you do, but but yeah, now you're getting into a totally different thing.
You're not a big fan of it, I can see.
How
many times have you ever given a butt pat after a game, before a game, during a game?
Probably a handful of times.
Yeah.
It's not that I never have, but I don't.
It's not a lot.
I don't like to make it a regular thing.
It's not a lot. I'm twice a game, so at least minimum. That might just be average.
Whatever comes naturally.
That's right. So anyway, but to be honest with you, I don't think a Xavier coach is leaving for a minor gig anymore. You're not gonna see him leave for Providence like Gillen did. Thad Matta went to Ohio State. I put Ohio State maybe in that category with Louisville, but it's not. I don't know that it's the same. I think Louisville's still a little bit better basketball program wise. The history of Ohio State's a little older
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were better a little while longer ago. So,
Right.
so yeah, I think that I think it's going to be difficult. I think it's going to suck. Maybe it won't suck for the first year. I mean, Chris Mack's first year he went to the Sweet 16, so there's a good chance that Travis Steele comes in. I mean, our team is down. It's automatically you're losing Trayvon Blewett, so
Right.
no matter what, you can't expect to be a top 3-4 team in the country. It's just not going to happen. I mean, could it happen? Yeah, but we got a lot of good guys returning, but that star power is that and go get a bucket anytime is not there.
Right.
Except for against Florida State. But
Even if Chris Mack stayed, they wouldn't be as good next year as they were this year.
Mack, the perfect storm happened. Patino left. That was one of the bigger ones. They wanted Mack more than anything. They had nobody else on their list. I know they asked to talk to Kenny Payne, but I think that was more just maybe Mack gave him I'm not sure yet, and they said, well, we're going to go talk to Kenny Payne. But Louisville's a great school, and good for him. I think he'll do well. But his that perfect storm was Louisville losing Patino. They are Xavier. Chris Mack is at his highest right now. He had his best team ever. Number 2 in the country, or number 3 in the country, I'm sorry, for a good portion of the year. Number 1 seed, won a Big East title. I mean, it was a perfect storm. His stock had never been higher.
Yeah,
good for him.
So what's Chris Mack's legacy? Is he the greatest coach ever at Xavier?
I'd say without a doubt. I mean, he was the one who was here when we moved into the Big East. We've had a lot of great coaches at Xavier, and they've all moved on. He was, but yeah, I would definitely say that he was probably he's been my favorite coach. In the beginning, I wasn't quite sure about him when they first hired him, but I think that's just with any coach. And he, I think his legacy is without a doubt that he's the best coach Xavier's ever had.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a hometown guy. So and he grew up here. He's a Cincinnati guy. He played at Xavier. He played at St. Xavier. He was the GCL guy, which means
That's
something
us.
to me too. And and he played at Xavier, and then he came back and coached, and he's a huge Bengals fan, and he loves Skyline, and he's total Cincinnati guy.
Yeah, so, he's 100% Cincinnati.
Yeah. So that's I for that reason, up until the last week or two, I really didn't think he was going to go anywhere. Now, the more I read about it and the more I hear people talk about it, this has been inevitable almost for a year now.
It's maybe even longer than that. That apparently Louisville has had their eye on Chris Mack for a while. There's some interviews where from like 3 or 4 years ago where they were talking about if Patino ever retires, would that be a job? And he, without saying, it's the greatest job in the world, he was basically came out, I'd love to be able to have an opportunity like, to follow a guy like Rick Pitino, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
But what happens down there with them? What happens at Louisville with Chris Mack? You have the FBI investigation, which might be another year or two before you really know what's going to happen with that.
They have no ban. He's, from what I understand, he's met with the team and they all love him and it seems to be pretty good. They're not. Everything seems to be good there. I haven't heard anything about any of their recruits going anywhere. I don't know what their recruiting class looks like this year. I don't know how much David Padgett got out and did anything, but it seems like they're just going to move on, and I think they're going to play the same style that you saw at Xavier. They're going to be run and gun. They're going to try to get up and down the court. The only difference is the guys that turned him down to go to Louisville, now he's going to be able to get them. So one thing, Xavier's never recruited, well, they've recruited, but they've never landed a McDonald's All-American. They had one in Drew Lavender, but he was a transfer. He transferred his junior year. But that's the kind of kid that he can now go after and feel like he's got a good chance at, where that wasn't the case always at Xavier.
Yeah, I'm forgetting. What conference does Louisville play in?
ACC.
Oh,
imagine
I didn't
that.
even realize. Okay, so
okay, Dick. Vital.
Yeah. Very good. Gosh, that guy's the worst. I mean, the best.
He's getting a little old.
Yeah,
It's about time.
You mean, yeah.
It's about time.
He got a little old a long time ago.
He's been old.
Okay, okay, just very quickly, maybe one or two best Chris Mack moments at Xavier, best and worst.
So one of my favorite was probably the couple years ago when Villanova was ranked number 1 and came into the Cintas Center, and Xavier knocked them off. Being at that awesome game, the cold chills thinking about it. The electricity inside the Cintas Center that night was amazing, and they withheld every Villanova punch, and that was like okay, you know what I mean? This was not a old Xavier team that beat UC in a crosstown shootout. It was the start of a rivalry between, not rivalry, but the only rivalry we're going to really have besides Butler in this Big East, the top 2 teams. It put us in with the Big East. We belonged.
Yeah.
The Elite 8 run last year was amazing because he had 2 stars out for a while, and Blewett and Sumner were hurt. Sumner didn't play at all in the tournament, and they came together as a team, and he did an amazing job coaching that team. Got them to an Elite 8 as an 11 seed. Same. I don't think they were exactly the same kind of 11 seed as Loyola, Illinois, but
right.
Same deal. I thought those are my 2 favorite. And like I said, his first year coaching, he went to a Sweet 16. So, man.
Yeah.
And beating Sean Miller. That was the greatest. Last year beating Sean Miller was awesome. That was so great.
Yeah. Okay, so you already mentioned who I think your favorite is to replace Chris Mack.
Travis Steele. Yeah, I think that's the safest bet and the smartest bet. Xavier doesn't need to go out and make any kind of bombshell hire to shake things up. They just need to keep things going as is, be the best for recruiting, be the best for the kids in the locker room now. I think that would be the best move Xavier could make. And they did not announce him going to Louisville like they did Luke Murray and Mike Pegues already. So he's taken Luke Murray and Mike Pegues with him, but I haven't heard anything about Travis Steele. So I would say Travis Steele for sure.
For sure.
That's the one I would want. That's who I would want.
Okay. And it's.
I think Xavier Nation wants that. The only other guy out there that Xavier Nation talks about is Pat Kelsey. Once again, Cincinnati guy, GCL guy, went to Elder. I think I saw something. The fastest coach to get to 100 wins or something like that. He's done real well. But I think I would love to see Pat Kelsey come back. He played at Xavier once again. That kind of a deal where you probably got him here locked up unless that dream job comes. One of those monster programs, one of the top 5-6 programs in the country comes open. But we're at a point now where we're in that second tier. I put us in that second tier. You have your top 6 teams that are that top tier guys, and then you have probably 10 to 15 teams under that. I like to think that we're in that 10 to 15 team mark now, and I think we've been there for a couple of years. But I don't want to mix anything up. Keep the kids happy. It's not about the kids because the kids are only going to be there 2-3 more years. But it's a smart move. It's what Xavier's always done, minus Thad Matta. And
it might help with whatever recruiting's been done already as well, because Travis Steele does a lot of that anyway.
Right.
He does a lot of that recruiting anyway.
Yeah.
So if he stays there, he may be able to retain, some of the guys that have already committed and some of the guys who are already interested. So
we don't have the greatest recruiting class coming in next year anyway, so it's it is what it is. It'll be interesting. That's what I think about it, and I'm about done with it. To be honest, I'm done with this Chris Mack thing. Let's get this new coach hired. Let's get it in. Let's get it over with and move on to next year.
That's what I meant. It's kind of exciting. Like now, you get over the blues of losing Chris Mack. That stinks, but it's kind of exciting to see what a new guy's going to do. Even if it's just Travis Steele, who's been around for a while. He's been the associate head coach for a few years. He's been
what a difference is going to be, and how much fun's it going to be. Like, I think it'll be a blast. I'm excited. So we'll see. Here it goes. That's college basketball talk. That's about enough college basketball talk. Tomorrow is opening day in Major League Baseball. My Redlegs are not playing due to rain, so they'll be playing on Friday. However, it looks like it should be a pretty fun year. What do you think about the year coming up? What are you looking most forward to?
First of all, just let me say that this is without question my favorite time of year because you have college basketball, the tournament, the Major League Baseball season starting, the NBA wrapping up in the next few weeks. It's regular season and starting the playoffs. Most people only pay attention to the NBA playoffs anyway, so this is just spring is my favorite time of year because you have these basically three things
all
going
on
all at once.
Yeah.
So yeah, and baseball starting up every year is certainly is certainly very exciting. Even if your hometown team, ours is being the Reds, is going to be bad. It's probably not going to be very good.
No.
But still, baseball is baseball, and we are both baseball fans. We're not just Reds fans.
Right. I just love baseball in general.
Especially you, yeah. So anyway, we kind of took a look at the rest of the Major League, of Major League Baseball, and kind of decided who we think may win each division, who the wild card teams might be, and who might win the World Series. So
start it off, man. What do you think? Let's go with let's start in American League. What do you think? I mean, there's a lot of guys, a lot of teams out there. I mean, you have the Indians, the defending champion Houston Astros out there to meet in the Yankees, who have this might be the best power hitting team of all time.
Yeah.
So I mean they're gonna hit some bombs.
Yeah.
In the Yankee Stadium. So the Bronx Bombers are without a doubt back. What's your team? What do you think's gonna who do you have? Let's just start in the East.
So like you said, the Yankees are going to be really good, and they're going to have a good lineup, and they have really good pitching. They might have the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. I'm taking the Red Sox in the East, not only because it's still difficult for me to give the Yankees any credit.
Sure.
But
I hate the Yankees.
Yeah,
that's easy.
But you gotta try to pick with your head, not your heart. But but still, even having said that, the Red Sox, I think have a more complete team, just barely, between their lineup, their pitching, and their bullpen. Their starters and their bullpen. I don't know. I like what they have as a whole. So here's the thing. I give them the East.
My boy, I love Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts.
That's probably my favorite player on that team.
I made a probably gigantic mistake and declined him as a keeper on my fantasy team yesterday. But I have some good other guys, but I probably should have kept him. Anyway.
What did you come in last year in fantasy baseball? Where did you finish in that Hurricane League?
It wasn't first. I know that.
No, it wasn't first at all.
It wasn't first.
It wasn't last, I don't think, but it wasn't. It wasn't
at
first.
the end, I think I climbed out of the cellar.
Yeah.
I think I got the second last.
Ninth's not bad. It's not 10th. Single digits, brother. That's what it's all about.
Anyhow.
Yes. Anyhow.
So it's definitely a two-team race in the American League East. But who do you take in the American League East?
As much as I love my Boston Red Sox, and they are by far, I love the Red Sox. They're my second team. They're my American League team. Have been for ever since Nomar was there because he's got a big nose like mine. So, but this Yankees team is, I don't know how the Yankees are. I don't know. I think the Yankees and whoever wins it, the other will be the first wild card team. I think
totally
I think without a doubt.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it'll be the Yankees. They're just stacked. That lineup there's not a hole in their lineup. It's ridiculous. So it'll be fun. That should be interesting. All right, let's go. So let's get out of the East and head over to the Central. This is going to be a runaway. I think.
I agree. I think we both take Cleveland, right?
Yeah, Cleveland. With Kluber and the offense that they have, I mean, they just this is the third year, maybe fourth year of this core for Cleveland that's been together they almost got there, 2 years ago. Miracle Cub, that was
Right.
destiny for the Cubs. They were destined to win that World Series. So yeah, I think I Cleveland. Spoiler alert, they're actually my World Series. I think they're going to win the World Series this year. I think this is their year.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
rooting for Cleveland. I'm keeping it in Ohio. The Reds stink. Let's go Indians.
Sure. Okay.
What
All
do you
right.
think? What do you? So you got the
I'm
Indians as well?
right on board with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the American League West.
This is a fun division now. There's some fun teams in this. So what do you think though? I mean, obviously Houston is the front runner. They're the ones everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon to. But what do you think?
So yeah. So I think Houston because they're the defending champs. They're going to bring back, they've got Dallas Keuchel and Justin Verlander as their 1 and 2. I mean, there's,
That's pretty much right there, buddy. You get into the
maybe
playoffs and
sure.
that's not bad.
Sure. And they had some of those young guys that, a few years ago they started stockpiling and they're coming to fruition. They did last year. And so they're, they've got some players, some position players that can hit, that can field. So I think they win the West, although I think easily the AL West is the best division, at least in the American League, maybe in baseball.
Yeah.
I like the NL West too, honestly. But same deal here. I've got the Angels taking the other wild card spot.
Do you?
So I've got the Yankees and the Angels in those 2 wild card spots because I think the other one comes from one of those NL West teams.
Well, so LA, and I think you might be right, and I think the Angels are great. I think Houston takes this division again. They're that good. I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas have a little comeback from last year. I mean, they have once again. I mean, their offense is very good, and maybe Yu Darvish figures out how to throw again.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they got the kid. What's the kid they signed who was the greatest offensive player and isn't that Ohtani? Didn't the Rangers sign that Ohtani kid who pitches and hits?
The Angels.
Oh, the Angels got
did.
that guy.
The Angels
okay.
did, yeah.
All right.
And
Well, now I might switch it up. Now I might switch my pick.
Right. Well, he had a bad spring.
Did
He didn't hit or pitch well in spring.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure. The Angels still don't know whether they're going to let him try to do both.
Yeah.
From what I heard today, they still don't know. I think they're going to try to let him pitch first, and
That's
then
what most of them probably end up
maybe
doing,
work
yeah.
him into a DH spot or something.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rangers. I think that I'm gonna go. Hot take Chris over here.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the Rangers is the second AL wild card.
Okay.
It's a little out there, but I think they're gonna have a surprise season.
We're pretty close because the Rangers were right there with me for me too. So I've got the Red Sox in the East, the Astros in the West, Cleveland in the Central, and then the Yankees and Angels. And I think you had the same thing, except you had the Yankees in the East and the Red Sox and Rangers in the wild card.
Exactly.
So we're pretty close on that. So anyway, flipping over to the National League.
That's right. Now we get into my side of the world. We'll start with the East. What do you think about that? About the East?
This is another one I think is pretty much a runaway. I think the Nationals are going to win this one easily, like they have the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see anybody else. The Mets might be okay, but I don't think they're going to. I think the Nationals have.
This Washington Nationals team is again. It's a loaded team. They're a loaded team. They're top to bottom. I think that they are the best offensive team in the National League, and they got they can pitch. So yeah, I agree. I think the Nationals run away with this. It's hard to say that you think the Mets might come in second in that division, but it'll be. I bet it'll be a 10-game difference.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be my guess.
I agree.
So anyway, so let's go on to the Central then. I mean, this to me seems again like a kind of a runaway. I don't know about a runaway because I think Milwaukee's got a pretty good team this year, but I think the Cubs. They still got that core. They lost Arrieta, but their starting pitching's still good. You still got Lester there, who apparently has learned how to throw the ball to first base.
On a bounce?
Yes. Have you seen this?
I heard about it. I haven't seen it yet.
He has been throwing the ball to first base on a skip. He has been
Is it working?
bouncing the ball to first base. Why not?
Because you have to get the bounce exactly right, or else you're putting the first baseman.
Can you imagine being a first baseman and having to scoop every single throw over? Please, I would hate it.
Although if he's practicing throwing over anyway, and he's that bad, maybe the bounce is better for them.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I don't see it working in real game situations. I mean, great if he can figure that out, but I think hopefully the Reds will steal. Billy Hamilton will steal like 3 bases every time he plays against John.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but I don't know how much you're going to see Billy Hamilton on the field even this year.
That's what I'm hearing.
Anyway, so we both think that the Cubs are going to win that,
Yes.
and Milwaukee is one of my wild card teams. So
Okay,
I got Milwaukee as a wild card team coming out of the Central.
Okay.
About the West.
The West, much like the American League, I think the West is the best top to bottom division in the National League. And I take the Dodgers. I really like this Dodgers team. I know not a lot of people like the Dodgers, but I really like all their players. Now they're
I don't know how you can't like this Dodgers team.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of really good young players that hit the crap out of the ball.
Young guys. I really like Cody Bellinger. He's one of my favorite guys to watch.
Seager,
Corey Seager,
Puig, if he gets his head on straight. Yeah,
I like Puig for a year. Puig's
yeah.
worn out his welcome to me, but
Yeah,
he's still fun and he's exciting. But they've got a lot of talent on that team. I agree with you. I think the Dodgers win the West as well.
Now to stay in uniform with what we've been doing, for me, I've got the Dodgers winning the West, and the 2 wild cards are Arizona and San Francisco for me.
You have both of them coming out. You have San Francisco making their comeback this year that quick.
I do, even with and it's tough, but even with Madison Bumgarner starting on the DL with the broken hand, and Jeff Samardzija too. I mean, 2 of their top 3 starters are starting the year on the DL. So I think it's not going to be easy.
It's a long season.
It is.
I think I got Arizona as a wild card as well. I think Arizona is my second wild card. St. Louis I was going between St. Louis and Milwaukee, but I think Arizona actually has the first wild card, and then Milwaukee will have the second. That's my opinion. But that San Francisco team, I'm not sold yet. I gotta see it. It's hard. It's a hard deal to do. I mean, you see it. It does happen quite often where you get a team who's worst team. Well, I don't think they were the worst team, but they were pretty darn close.
Yeah.
And they might have been the worst team in baseball, but
I think they were
last year. But it's a long road,
and
they
narrowly edging out the Reds.
They spent a ton of money.
They did
a ton of money,
and they brought McCutchen in, who I still like a lot, and they brought Longoria in, who can probably still play a little bit.
McCutchen needed this change. He needed a change, and I'm hoping it sparks him because he's a fun player to watch.
He is. Yeah, and they're going to be an older team, but they should be good because they still have Belt, they still have Crawford, they still have Hunter Pence. You know, those guys that have been around a while that won a lot of games with them a few years ago.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that sounds good, man. So go ahead and go over it. So you had. Washington
in the East, the Dodgers in the West, the Cubs in the Central. I think we agreed on all those.
We agree on
right?
all 3 of those.
Right.
Our wild cards, I think, are different, but
right.
we agree on all 3 of those.
Right. So my wild cards are Arizona and San Francisco.
I got Arizona and Milwaukee.
So we're close.
Yeah,
on
pretty
all
close.
these.
I think coming into it now, I can almost guarantee you this: something crazy is going to happen.
Sure.
And half of what we just said is going to go down the drain.
Sure. The Reds are going to win the World Series, even though we both think they're going to.
The Reds are not. I don't think they're going to be as bad as everybody. I mean, they're going to be bad. They're going to be bad. They have a lot of young pitching. It's just when's that switch going to flip? And it's different for everybody. So, their starting rotation right now is technically set. Do you think that they will start Do you think that they will run out like 7 guys, or do you think they're going to stick with the 5 and just keep it a 5-man rotation?
I hope they keep it a 5. I don't think it makes sense to do a 7-man.
I agree. I mean, it's a
really,
lot of downtime.
They have 6 because DeSclafani's hurt until May or June. I mean, he's out until almost halfway through the season. So, I'm not even thinking about him yet. But Homer
Right.
Bailey, hopefully if he can stay healthy and kind of get back to when he was at his best, he can be a kind of top of the rotation. I mean, right now he's our ace, but
I don't think he's our ace. He's starting opening day because of whatever Brian Price wants to say. The veteran deal. He's been there. He's thrown no hitters, which means nothing at all to me for starting opening day.
Yeah.
Our best starting pitcher is Luis Castillo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that kid's electric. He's fun to watch. He should be number 1 in my book.
And he might end up being. He might end up being because Homer Bailey could get hurt on Friday because he had to take an extra day because his rest period and stuff is all messed up because of the rain, and then he's gonna mess up his elbow a little bit, and then who knows, and then it's a lingering thing, and he's only gonna miss 2 starts, and then it ends up being 3 or 4, and then it kind of, we're gonna shut him down for a little bit and work on some rehab,
and we'll see him in 2 years. Just keep collecting that check, brother. Keep collecting that check. I mean, good for him. He got his money, but I when he signed that deal, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like Homer Bailey as a person. I didn't like him before. I mean, he might be an all right guy. He just always seemed to be a little extra cocky. I love cocky guys. I have no problem with like your Manny Ramirez's or your Puigs or anything like that. But there was an arrogance maybe about him that's a little different to me. Yeah. So anyway, so you got Bailey, Castillo, Romano, Big Sal. I like he's just going to be an innings eater upper, but that's what they're hoping at least.
Yeah.
But he had a good spring.
Yeah, and he showed some signs last year, of being a capable starter. But he's another, almost all of these guys are young, have had cups of coffee in the last year or two.
Yep.
But that's it. So really, I mean, even with Castillo, he looked incredible in the time we've seen him, but he's still so unproven because he's still so young. He's pitched less than 100 innings in the major league. I mean, there's a lot to prove for a lot of these guys. But that's the thing. Maybe in this Reds team could be one of those teams that you see once in a while where they've got 3 or 4 really young guys that nobody knows about, and they all end up pitching really well for most of the season, and they
compete for a wild card.
Yeah,
I'd just be happy to see them compete. But I think that they've got the offense. So, but here's the deal. I wanted to add, because Brandon Finnegan is going to be a key starter on this team. Is he ever going to pitch again? Tell me what you think. I would love to see that guy go out. He's like a bulldog out there on the mound. But it just seems something. It's almost like the Homer Bailey syndrome, man.
Yeah. So yeah, he's going to be back. They're talking about possibly because he'll be that 5th starter right now, and they're talking about that's going to be because of off days. They're not going to need him until like the 2nd week.
Right.
So it's April 9th, I believe, and he could be activated for that game, for that start. If not, though, honestly, for me, I know he came out on fire a couple starts last year and then dropped way off and was bad last year. But Amir Garrett, I still love that guy.
That was my next question. Even with Disco and Finnegan out, how is Amir Garrett not considered in this role? I mean, from what I understand, Price has put him in the bullpen to start.
Well, he has, but if Finnegan can't go, from what I understand, he's going to make that start. And who knows? It might be, and it's from the sound of it, it might be that one start and then he's done because Finnegan will be back after that.
Right.
But and that's the other thing I don't love is that he's going to be the long reliever. in the bullpen. So that means he's never going to pitch, or he's hardly ever going to pitch.
Well, on
or,
this team, he
well,
might pitch more than everybody.
He might pitch more than everybody, but he's going to be that sixth starter on accident.
On accident, exactly.
But yeah, so I still really like Amir Garrett. He's another one of those guys that, you know, he got some starts last year, and he, like I said, he started out great, and then he fell way off, and he just got knocked all over the place and went back down, and he's still trying to figure it out. But I just love he has that Aroldis Chapman body.
Yes.
He's built like him. He throws like him, kind of, not that fast, but still. I mean, he just has that really athletic, really long, left-handed pitcher that you just, like, scouts salivate over.
Yes.
And I still love him for that. And I think he's still got a long way to go to grow into being a consistent pitcher and stuff, but I'm still really excited about that guy.
We don't have a lot of left-handed arms.
Right.
I mean, we don't have a lot of left-handed arms. So, you know, besides Peralta, Finnegan's out, Amir Garrett's the only one. That might be another reason why he wants to keep him in that bullpen, because, you know, when Peralta, who in all reality is probably going to be your setup man with Lorenzen 7-8, you know, if you need an out against a left-hander in the sixth inning, it's going to be Amir Garrett at this point in time.
Yeah. And that might, and you know, the bullpen changes as much as anything on the team, because it's, you know, usually you have you'll have your Iglesias and Peralta maybe and Lorenzen, but beyond that, the rest of those guys, whoever performs is going to pitch. You know, and it's so if you have a couple other guys that Brian Price starts out with pitching in the sixth or seventh innings a lot, and they don't perform, Amir Garrett's going to get a chance, and if he pitches well, if he gets outs, then he'll get that spot. And then if you know, Lorenzen struggles, maybe he goes up to the seventh inning, or Peralta struggles, maybe he goes up to the seventh inning, maybe he goes up to the eighth inning, and then you have that left-hander, and then you know, who knows, maybe you end up having that left-hander in the eighth, or, you know, right-hander in the ninth with Iglesias, and you got your back into the bullpen. But for right now, the plan is for Amir Garrett to be the long reliever, and I just would like to be able to see him pitch more often.
I'd love it too. I think the kid needs to get out there and pitch. It's almost one of those things where I wouldn't, you know, last year it hurt him when they sent him down. He was great up here, and they brought him right back. They took him right back down, and he was never himself again. You know, so they're going to figure out. He's got it. You know what I mean? He's got it. It's just a matter of getting him going. All right, so let's go to the offense. So this team has lost. They lost Cozart from last year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Who's now playing third base in Los Angeles? Yeah.
Well, they're not going to take
Andrelton Simmons.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, but that didn't. Yeah, I guess I never really even thought about that. Good for him. I think that's a good spot for him. He's got great range, obviously. You're going to be able to play short. It wasn't the best range of any shortstop in Major League Baseball. So third base probably fit him well. Very accurate arm. So
he was solid, though.
Very solid.
Very solid defensive
player. All right, so that's the only guy you're losing, and Peraza steps in. From the year that Cozart had last year, it's obviously going to be a step down there. Mm-hmm. But other than that, this team is really pretty much the same. I think let's start in the outfield. Price is talking about he's made it known that he's going with a 4-man rotation in the outfield, and everybody's going to pretty well get the same amount of games in.
Yes.
Good or bad? Can you do this? Can this be done?
Well, I don't think everybody's going to get the same amount of games in. It's going to be because at least one of those guys is going to struggle, and unfortunately, it's probably going to be Billy Hamilton more than anybody. But and we'll get to that in a minute. But I think Winker ends up getting more time than Schebler, and if Duvall really struggles, maybe even him.
Well, yeah, but I think at this point in time, Duvall's the best. Duvall's the guy that's not coming out of this. He's the one that's going to get more games than anybody, just off of what we know about all these guys. Duvall's proven it over the last 2 years. The guy, I mean, I think there's no doubt about that. Yeah. Duvall's not coming out. It's this Hamilton, Schebler, Winkler deal, and I really like the Winker kid, especially because his name's Winker. That's an awesome name. So
he's good at winking, I guess.
Yeah, and Schebler, that's another goofball name, but Billy Hamilton, little Billy, he quick as lightning, great defense. He's got a very strong arm, but he's not showing me that he can hit any better or even put a bunt down.
No, I agree, and I am hearing more and more that he might be the odd man out on more days than we originally expected. But I'm not crazy about that. I think even if he hits about like he has the last couple years, I think he still needs to be the everyday
leadoff.
Well, not necessarily the everyday center fielder. If you don't have to hit him leadoff, but
you want his glove.
I want his glove, and I want, any time he gets on base, it's almost like getting on base twice for another guy, because he can make,
It's like the old Ricky rally.
Yeah,
if he could just walk, you could have a Ricky rally.
He'll be at third base in 2 pitches.
Exactly. And that was the whole deal. You get a Ricky rally, Ricky Henderson walks. Runs the second, runs the third. Next thing you know, it's 1-1 count, and you got a guy on third.
And you have John Lester, and he's gonna bounce a ball over to pick you off at third base, and he throws it by a guy, and then you score. But no, but no, for that reason, I still believe in Billy Hamilton very much, because he's as good a center fielder as anybody in the league. He is, and he's as fast as anybody in the league, and I still think that's an extremely useful tool.
Speed is great. The speed on the base is one thing. But if you can't get on base, I think Joey Votto has proven that getting on base is the most important thing in the world. I don't care.
Sure.
I don't care how fast you are. If you can't get on base, it doesn't matter. And he can't get on base. Can't walk. He doesn't walk. The kid's fast as lightning. He struggles putting a bunt down. Gets into fly ball happy mode for 2 weeks at a time. I like Billy Hamilton. I think he's so much fun. Even if you bat him seventh, is 230 that terrible? But it's still the thing that gets me is the fact that he just can't get on base.
I feel like people's expectations of him are what hurt, because
he's hitting his baseball card, brother. There's it's over. He's had enough time. He's going to hit the back of his baseball card. The expectations are that is what I'm expecting him to hit 230.
That's what I mean. That's what they should be. But people are still talking about, and maybe the discussion is, well, then he shouldn't hit leadoff. That
should already be done. He should not be leadoff, because it's
fair enough. Yeah,
I don't think so.
But the thing is, wherever he's hitting in the lineup, when he does get on base, he's worth a lot more than most other players that do get on base more, because a base hit is usually 2 bases.
All right, so well then why not?
A shallow fly ball can score him from third.
Yeah, and it has, and we've seen it. He's tug up from second and attempted to score. So
pitchers make bad throws. If he gets a hold of one and dribbles it back to the pitcher, a pitcher is scared to death to not beat him, to not have his throw beat him.
Ball a mile and a half,
throws it, and other position players do that too. A ground ball.
Everybody hurries.
He can beat out a ground ball, or he can force.
So hit a ground ball.
Throw.
Then hit a ground ball.
Sure, right.
He can do a lot of things. He can do this. He can do that. He just doesn't get the opportunity to, because he doesn't get on base. So then, if he's that important, to be honest, how often in a game do you need that? I mean, you need it every single time.
Well, every run,
exactly.
Run
so then I think you're going to see him a ton on the bench in pinch running situations in the 8th, 9th inning. You're going to see whoever, Shevler, get on first, or Suarez hit a single, and you're going to see Billy Hamilton come in. That's exciting to me. That's exciting. That's where Billy Hamilton is going to be the best pinch runner in baseball. That's what he's going to end up. In my head, I don't think he's anything better than that, though. I love the guy. He's a great fielder.
He's a Gold Glove center fielder.
Did he win a Gold Glove?
No, but he's a Gold Glove center fielder.
Potential Gold Glove
center
fielder.
He is a Gold Glove caliber quality center fielder. I think there's no question about that.
I agree.
No.
I completely agree with that. The catches he makes are ridiculous. He's got a strong arm. If you can't get on base, It just kills me.
But
And the most important positions are up the middle. Shortstop, second, center field, defensively, you can lose a lot of runs up the middle. I agree that you need somebody there, but I think that all four of our outfielders are pretty good defensively. None of them are Billy Hamilton, no, but 3 extra runs a year isn't going to kill you.
Sure. I mean, I think Billy Hamilton scores you a lot more of those runs that you wouldn't get from even a guy that gets on base more. I don't
know about that because he gets on base
so
maybe about even. Okay, maybe about even, possibly. Well, how many runs did he have last year? How many times did he score last year?
I don't remember off
so,
the top of my head.
Let's see. Last year,
it wasn't what everybody wants to be. I know that.
Of course, yeah. 85 runs last year. He scored 85 runs last year,
which is not bad. But actually, it's really good for how much he gets on base. That's my point.
Okay, I'll give you that. But go to like a guy like Suarez. Suarez.
Gino.
He scored 87 times last year.
And he was a much better hitter.
Yeah, much better hitter. So you're telling me that I can take a guy like Eugenio Suarez and get just as many runs out of him as I can Billy Hamilton? And you got pop, and you got your RBIs are tripled.
Billy Hamilton
with a guy like
was hurt
Suarez
for a while. He was hurt for like a month last year too, also.
Okay. All right, and Suarez scored 100 or played in 156 games, so he played almost every game. But at the same, I'm just telling you that I think the amount of runs you get by him scoring, and you can replace that with somebody who's going to double his RBIs and score three less runs than him. That's more. There's more potential for runs being scored with Billy out of the lineup than there is with him in the lineup.
I don't know if
He can't drive anybody in. He has to get on base to score.
Here's
the only way he can score is to get on base. He can't get on base. Anybody else on this team has the power and the ability to not only get on base, but to drive a runner in as well. Billy Hamilton doesn't drive anybody in.
See, I think that's what I was trying to say when I was saying I think everybody's expectations are still too lofty. What I meant, I think, is that you keep saying he can't get on base. Like, that's what I hear everybody saying. It's not that he can't get on base. He just doesn't get on base as much as we all want him to, as much as it would make sense for him to if he's going to be like, I mean, he could be like almost MVP numbers by if he got on base at a pretty decent clip, he could score 130 runs and almost be an MVP candidate because he's so valuable and so important, especially with his glove too.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He's not. But it's not that he doesn't ever get on base. That's the thing. Like, I think people don't give him enough credit. I think people are too down on him for not getting on base. If he gets on, if his on base is like 200, that sucks. But it's not. I mean, there are other guys that play every day that are like that too, but that don't have the same value because of his speed that he has. You know what I mean?
Billy Hamilton's was under 300 on base percentage.
And
under 300.
And that's not good. But that's the thing. Like, you know, I think that it's his speed when he does get on, if it's 286 or something like that, you know, those times he's so much more valuable on the base pass because he can produce runs for you just, you know, he can produce more runs for you just when he does get on base. If he gets on base one time every 3 games or something like that, he's still more likely to score a run or two for you than Scott Schebler if he gets on first base 3 times or 4 times in those games.
He's never going to get your expectations are too high. He's not going to get on base 3 or 4 times in a game. I expect him to get on base once every 2 games. That's what I expect him to get on.
Who?
Billy Hamilton. That's my expectation.
That's what I said. If he gets on once every 3 games or something like that, that still might be more valuable than if Scott Schebler gets on base 3 times out of those 3 games or 4 times out of those 4.
So
3
getting on
games.
base maybe, but Schebler's there's more than just you scoring a run. You being in a lineup is more than just you scoring a run.
Sure, 'cause
There's you
drive
scoring
people
a run and there's you driving people in. That's the way runs are. That's where runs come from.
Sure.
So maybe he doesn't score as many runs as Billy does.
And Schebler obviously has a ton more power, and that's a big thing. He's going to hit the ball out of the ballpark 30 times, 20 or 5
Winker's going to be the
times
same way.
and that's fine. And Winker is probably the most complete player of all four of the guys, or
Yeah.
at least has the highest ceiling, and
I think
everybody's
so,
expecting him to be the most complete player. So and that's why I think I think Winker will definitely end up getting more time than Schebler.
I think he will too. I think in the end you're going to see him get more time than Billy. Probably because Billy's going to get hurt again because he's a frail little guy, and that's what happens. It's a long season. But we'll see how it goes. I think we'll just agree to disagree on Billy Hamilton.
We're not that far off. I
don't think we are, but
we have a little different idea about it.
All right, so
okay.
we're at an hour here. We're pretty close here. So real quick before we get off of this, I do want to talk about the catching situation because Tucker Barnhart had a great season last year. Played in 121 games. He hit 270. I think he had 20 home runs. What do you have? No, he didn't. He had 7 home runs, but still, he drove in 44 RBIs. That's a pretty good year. He had a good year
for a catcher.
Mesoraco is behind him. Can Mesoraco stay healthy, and if so, will he beat out Barnhart as the starting catcher on this team?
No, because what he gives, he doesn't give you the much more than Tucker Barnhart does, completely, offensively and defensively, than Tucker Barnhart. Mesoraco proved a few years ago that he has some pretty decent pop when he's healthy and he's hitting well. But Barnhart, it's not like he's hitting 20, 25, 30 home runs. He might hit 15 or something like that, which is great for a catcher. But
15 and 50, I think, is about where his ceiling, maybe not his ceiling, but that'd
Mesoraco,
be a good year.
Right. Yeah. And Barnhart, he might not have the same kind of pop, but he's a good. He hit 270. He's a good contact hitter. He'll get on base a little bit.
347 on base percentage.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 8th on the team in on base percentage, and that's including some pitchers. So,
yeah.
I mean, he was,
Let me tell
4th.
you, Tucker Barnhart is my second favorite player on this team, because.
Is it the beard?
No, it's because he reminds me of Ryan Hannigan.
Yeah.
And I
only a much better defensive catcher.
Ryan Hannigan was as good a defense. Ryan Hannigan.
I agree.
Was outstanding.
I don't disagree with you. Tucker Barnhart, if he starts on this team and plays the entire year as a starter, he will be the Gold Glove winner in the National League. He's the kind of guy that could be a Gold Glove winner for years to come. If he keeps hitting 270, 275, and stays in the starting rotation, he's a Yadier Molina. I think he's a better defensive catcher maybe than Yadier Molina. The guy's he has got an arm. He
does.
Nobody steals on him. Nobody even attempts to steal on him. He's the best defensive catcher I've seen in a while. So I think he stays there. I think Mesoraco ends up being a good backup, and I think he'll get into a lot of games, but it's just not. I don't think he'll ever be the same. He's got 2 fake hips. He's like my grandpa.
I agree, and I'm fine with that because Barnhart has taken over the catcher role, and he's awesome. He reminds me of Hannigan because he's a good enough hitter. He can get on base a little bit. He's super. He has those intangibles that you want catchers to have. Really smart, really tough.
Yes.
Like he just has that.
He just looks like a tough son of a bitch, doesn't he?
Just like that smart, tough baseball guy. Just like that. He loves getting dirty. He grows the beard. He's he's just like one of those just baseball guys. He just looks like he lives, eats, breathes, sleeps. I
love it. You know what? Real quick before we get out of here, my new thing with baseball now is facial hair. baseball players by far have the best facial hair. There's so many awesome, just straight mustaches out there right now. The beards are ridiculous, obviously, but I enjoy it. I think it's going to be a fun year. I'm excited to see what the next Fu Manchu is, or who's got the porn stash. But there's a few of them on these pictures that had some pretty good looking porn stashes. I was looking through the other day. Austin Bryce had one going. It was some ugly sons of guns. But there you go. Anything you want to wrap up on these red legs before we get off of that?
Where do you see them finishing in the division and around where they'll be record-wise?
I think they'll win. If they win 80 games, what did they win? What did they win last year? What was their record last year?
Oh my God, 2-180.
Yeah,
I mean 2-160.
I believe that this team is. I believe this team's better than what people are giving them credit for, but I don't believe that they are anything special. I mean, you're not going to see 90 wins or anything like that. If they hit 80 games, I'd be happy. I think they went. I think it was they had was it 60. 60.
I was gonna say I don't think they won 70
wins.
Yeah, it is 60.
Yeah, I mean, if 75 to 80 wins, I think that's probably what you'll see out of this team. I'd love to see them win more than that. I'd love to see them get to 85 and just make it fun, and make it look like they're trying to go after a wild card. But be honestly, they're not there yet. They're still young. Yeah. They got a good core on the field. Rotation-wise is what wins games. Rotation wins championships in baseball, and it's fun to see what could possibly become of Castillo and a guy like Amir Garrett and Brandon Finnegan. But at this point in time, nobody's proven anything. So,
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think they have a chance to be a little better than last year, but I think that means somewhere in the 70s, maybe low to mid 70s or something like that, and that'll be okay because I expect them to struggle a little bit because they're so young and they're pitching exactly what you just said, and their bullpen is still is except for the very end of it, except for Iglesias really.
Yeah, I mean, I like Lorenzen. I think Lorenzen's good. When he gets off the DL, he'll be good. Yeah. Peralta. Came out and pitched. He was relatively consistent last year. The back end of their bullpen, I'm not worried about. It's the Shacklefords and the Hughes and this guy that what's his name? Quackenbush. That's it. My favorite name on the team.
I knew you were gonna like that.
But yeah, I don't. That's gonna be a struggle. Middle long relief will be a struggle. Hopefully we don't have to get into that very often.
Yeah. Let's win like in the early mid 2000s. Let's win some games 10-9 and
there you go, buddy.
See what happens.
That's exactly right. All right, so we're gonna take off, get out of here. We appreciate you listening. Hit the subscribe button. We will be on iTunes here shortly, as soon as they approve us. Which is a little nuts. I didn't know we had to be approved, but apparently we have to be approved. So should be on iTunes soon. YouTube for now. Subscribe, hit the like button, listen, tell us what you think, and appreciate it.
We're still working on the right name, so keep your name suggestions coming.
I appreciate we've had about 110 suggestions so far.
109 of them were really good.
Yeah, so we just gotta figure out exactly what we're gonna do. So keep them coming. Chris and Adam on Sports had a great time. We'll see you next time. Probably not next, maybe about a week and a half or so. We're thinking,
yep.
And we'll get into some more NBA postseason and more Major League Baseball.
Yes.